So guys, I'm live again, and with me I have Hugh and Norliss. Thanks for dropping by, guys. So
No
we
webcam
were all chatting today. Sorry, Norliss.
I said no webcam, I'm afraid. I've got a very good mic and a pair of headphones. Alas, no webcam, so you'll just have to make do with a...
Well, your microphone's pretty good. So what
yeah.
mic is it you're using? I remember you telling me before.
It is a Rode NT1, and I'm using an
right, okay.
ID14 audio interface for all the geekheads out there.
That's good. Yeah, the audio quality is really good. You get that sometimes when you interview someone and the audio is just terrible, but I don't think we'll have any problems with that. So what we were going to talk about, what we talked about this morning. I did a live stream this morning, and Hugh and Norliss was chatting with me, and we chatted about, well, mainly Bitcoin. We chatted about lots of different things as far as what the value will be, if it will go down, what if it will go up. And one of the kind of things that we talked about at the end was the value of Bitcoin. And I thought that would be an interesting discussion. And we said that at the time, why don't we just do a live stream with it, and why don't we chat about it? Because I think it is an interesting topic, and it's something that's going to come up again and again, especially in this climate.
So I foolhardily made the suggestion to have this stream, so you can blame it on me if it all goes to tits. So I'll take full responsibility. Don't put a strike against Kevin's good channel.
Yeah,
I'm not sure YouTube works that way, where you can just direct all the blame.
I don't have much.
Well, I mean, we're competing against I'm Celebrity, so we better live up to all the
yeah,
videos.
We're going to have to step up our game. So we've got a few people watching already. We've got Di, Ads. Hey guys, Imran. Yeah, smash the like button, guys. So cheesy saying that. Actually,
am I allowed to do that? Even though I'm participating, am I allowed?
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
That?
I'm all for shilling my own, shill my own channel. That's the way to do it.
Shill it. Hi, Joseph Oxley.
Hi, Joseph. And I was saying, if there's any of you guys wanted to join in, if you had a point to make, if you tag me on Twitter, I can message you and I can send you the link if you want to join in. But, of course, you would need a good microphone. You need to have the Zoom app to do that. But
don't all try and join in, because it'll be absolute fucking chaos if we're all trying to do it.
Well, I said that. I said that.
A stream where there's every single person who's watching is going to be actually talking. It'll be absolute bedlam.
Well, that is quite hard to do that, and it's probably harder for me to do that with Hugh than it is for Hugh, because your webcam's not on, and as far as people talking over each other, unless we just take turns.
It's not that my webcam isn't on; it's I don't have one.
Yeah, that's even better. Maybe we should do it like a walkie-talkie where we say over.
Well, what you could do is just a bit like how they used to show. I don't know if you remember back in the day when they used to do like sort of coverage throughout Saturday afternoon of sporting fixtures. Back then, and obviously OB units were probably a bit more expensive in real terms. So usually what you'd get was a picture of the said reporter sort of holding a phone to the side of their face, and then you just get the audio. So you could even just go phone jacker style, and just put a sort of a picture there of just some random bloke holding a phone to his face, and that could just...
Yeah. Well, it kind of the app kind of jumps between the boxes, whoever's talking anyway. So we'll kind of rewind a little bit for anyone who didn't see the live stream today. We were chatting and we were talking about the price of Bitcoin, etc. Hugh, you sold earlier this year in March, was that right?
Yeah, March.
So the thing that actually surprised me, I just did, the way that you were talking today, I'd assumed that you bought in maybe December or something, but you says you bought last August, so like August 2017.
Yeah, August, yeah.
Can you remember the price point you get in it?
Can't remember off my head.
I mean, I could probably check that on CoinMarketCap. I think.
Was it like? I swear, I think it was like 3,000, or was it 6? I can't remember.
Probably around where we are just now.
I remember I got a net profit of about £3,000. I can't remember what it was. I've got a feeling it was maybe like $3,000.
Right.
No,
so can I just preempt the joust here by just saying you spent $3,000 in August and you sold the following March. You made $3,000 in 6 months. Can you point out any other investment vehicle where you could double your money in 6 months?
But did you buy one Bitcoin, or did you buy like 0.1 or 0.2 or something like that? How much did you actually invest, if you don't mind me asking? Or, I mean, don't share this if you think the taxman's going to be chapping down.
I don't really want to share.
Right, okay. But you made, like, let's go by percent then. Like,
It was,
did you get
Well, you doubled your money, didn't you?
yeah, yeah, I think it was double then, yeah.
right? Okay, so that's a pretty good return anyway you look at it. Now, one
Certainly
one
more
of
than you get by sticking it in a Santander account for 6 months. That's for sure.
well, that was kind of one of the
There's
key
many
things.
other different investments you can do. And crypto is not the best investment anyone can invest in. It's a volatile market.
Well, yeah, I know, but I just asked you to tell me
You
what else
can't.
you could have invested.
It's
£3 in
the
gold.
currency itself is backed by nothing. It's a worthless entity, and it's only driven up by demand. Once the bubble bursts, the demand will just fall, and this is what we're seeing with Bitcoin now. Is every cryptocurrency has no intrinsic value where you can buy anything with it. It's just a digital asset on your computer doing nothing. And unless
But
someone wants to buy more for it, then there's absolutely no value for it.
But just to kind of rewind, if you believe that now, did you believe that when you bought? And if you did believe it, then why did you buy?
Well, because they're in a bubble, so bubbles always go up, don't they? And they always crash down. So whenever you hope there's a bubble, and you hope that when you buy in the bubble, that it's not going to crash, and you can make.
But if you did that before with other
return on it.
investments, if you did this with other investments, or was it only crypto?
It was only crypto. I mean, it's the same as gambling, and it's the same as just betting on a team to win. It's the same sort of. You're still hoping the higher risk is that it's going to burst, but the higher risk, higher returns, and that's what you're going to get with cryptocurrencies, and that's it.
I think most people know that, like, we're not backed by gold anymore as far as our currency goes.
Yeah. Fiat is a fiat and cryptocurrency in the same boat, is that they are worthless assets.
Well, there's one huge difference between fiat and cryptocurrency, and that is that or let's just talk about Bitcoin specifically, because Bitcoin was the thing that you bought and sold and have declared to be worthless. That Bitcoin is something which is issued by a mathematical algorithm. It is a finite quantity.
It's only finite because they made it that way. It's not finite.
Well, it doesn't matter whether they made it that way. It's the fact is that it's finite, whereas fiat money is printed as Kevin just pointed out. Fiat money has long since stopped being backed by gold. So therefore, fiat money only has value in the sense that we are told that it has value, and we accept it has value. Fiat money has value because you can take out a £10 note and you can go to a shop and you can buy something with it. But
fiat money, and as I said before, fiat money and cryptocurrency are in the same boat, as they are both worthless assets. The only difference between fiat money and cryptocurrency is that fiat money has government backing, which makes the value considerable more stable.
But this is the interesting thing about it, because governments change, and a system or an asset like Bitcoin doesn't rely on a government backing it. This is one of the greatest things about cryptocurrency, and it's probably why you're seeing people in countries like Iran and Turkey and Egypt and Venezuela backing Bitcoin, because, I mean, I saw it myself. When I was in Argentina, I saw the government implement measures such as you can't buy external currencies with your money because the value of their peso was being, going down so much. People were trying to convert the pesos into dollars, and they stopped it because they realized the more people that sell their pesos for dollars, the more the currency dives. And I was there. I remember I bought a camera from Argos for traveling, for backpacking. And when I got there, I saw it in Buenos Aires being sold at 3 times the price as the UK. So, it's what you're actually arguing, for cryptocurrency in a way, because it's one of the benefits of crypto in my eyes.
No, I'm not actually arguing for a cryptocurrency. Say I maybe back for something return to the gold standard in terms of how the economy works. I'd say you would want something which was backed by some tangible asset. Something.
You think gold would be the best way to do that?
That gold has got considerable backing behind it. You can use gold. Gold is used in mobile phones. Gold is used in teeth fillings. It's used.
No, I understand that, but
it has a use.
It has
whereas
a use, but
cryptocurrency has not a use.
Well, it does have a use.
Outside of being a transaction method.
It's a medium of exchange. That's all any currency
Yeah,
is.
but when the media of exchange fails and say you don't have anything to exchange, it's a worthless asset to hold.
But
So if
that
no one's to buy your Bitcoin,
that's the risk of any currency. Any currency can fall for that. I mean, saying that gold has value, but in many respects, there's other things you could use that are maybe more practical. Look at lithium. You know, how many batteries are in the world? Maybe you could use lithium as an asset. I realise gold is used, but I mean, the whole, I mean, I'm not claiming to be an expert on gold, but I have watched a few documentaries as far as, you know, where the countries make gold, where they dig up for gold. They actually limit the supply and they control the market and they don't release too much at the same time. So that, you know, that's a whole different argument as far as how corrupt that whole world is. What do you think about this, Norliss?
Well, at the end of the day, gold has value. That the value in gold is based on its scarcity more than anything else.
Yep.
It used to be used as money, but it became impractical, hence paper money. And paper money was originally a paper representation of gold. This piece of paper is like an IOU from a bank.
Yep.
That's long since stopped being the case. You know, the scarcity of Bitcoin is, you could argue, is Bitcoin has even more scarcity than gold, because even though gold is not exactly something that you would, you know, trip over 10 blocks walking down the street, it's still there to be mined, and we don't actually really know how much gold there is. There's only an approximate guess, and for all we know, more gold could be discovered, whereas we know that there's a finite amount of Bitcoin. So
it's interesting.
Sorry.
No, I would just say it's interesting you brought up scarcity, because I do think it's one of the, it's definitely one of the things that, it's one of the main factors that people use in cryptocurrency. I saw a coin the other day and it was like 250,000 or something like that max supply, which is super low for a coin, but they're trying to create something scarce. There was actually, I don't know if you guys, like, we're all from the UK, but I don't know if you read BBC today. There was an article where it was about Primark selling t-shirts for £2, and they were talking about how Burberry, it says here, the firm was strongly criticised for burning £30 million of stock, destroying unsold clothes, accessories and perfume. And essentially they were, you know, trying to keep their product scarce, because they realised if their product, you know, becomes more popular and you know, they flood the market with all their products, the value or the perceived value of their clothes, which, you know, is probably made in the same factory as the clothes that are selling for £2, they realised it would hurt their business, because their business relies on being exclusive, of being scarce. And it's kind of the same principle with gold, I guess. Well,
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, what determines whether something has a value? I mean, talk about whether cryptocurrency can be used. I mean, I would find it a lot easier right now to purchase stuff using cryptocurrency than I would be to use gold. You name me one outlet that I could walk into and exchange gold for goods. Now, once upon a time, that was the norm.
Yeah, but how many places can you walk into now who will be accepting cryptocurrency as a medium of exchange?
Well, you're comparing something, gold and fiat money, which has been around for decades and centuries and millennia, with something that's basically still in nappies. So it's not really a fair comparison to make, is it?
I do think.
Where can I go and spend cryptocurrency at the moment? Not a lot. There's quite.
You can actually spend it, like, from. I realized that when I was a miner, you can actually buy. There's a lot of computer stores in the UK, Scan, and a lot of other computer, companies that sell motherboards and power supplies, computing supplies, anything that help you build a PC. They all accept Bitcoin, Litecoin.
There's quite a lot of software companies that accept.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've raised out a good point about buying and selling. You said you've opened up this area, the actual consumer is using cryptocurrency as a thing. I mean, cryptocurrency is never going to be a thing because it's not a stable value. I mean, would you?
Can I just stop you there?
Would you price something in a shop?
Yeah, okay. Hold on a sec. Again, you're making the same mistake as you're comparing something which is established over decades and centuries with something which is brand new. The volatility argument doesn't hold, because the volatility of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is purely based on the fact that it's a nascent industry. The market is absolutely tiny and has been hijacked by people who are using it as a speculative asset. as the market increases in size and as more people use it as a medium of exchange, the volatility goes away.
Yeah, no, but the people who are buying Bitcoin are buying it because they want money from it. I mean, the whole idea about this value is that if the Bitcoin value stops, no one will want it. Everyone will sell it because people are buying into that dream. If they're into the Lamborghinis, they see these little kids who were bought into Bitcoin at the beginning and now going around in Lamborghinis, and everyone's thinking, that's the lifestyle. That's a lifestyle for me. Maybe I can get on it. I'll buy Bitcoin.
But I think you have to realize a lot of people with the same brush there, to be honest with you, pal.
But I think there's not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is granted, Bitcoin is the daddy, is the OG, as they say. But there are, you know, as far as I do think you're bringing up a lot of good points there, Hugh, because I do think the volatility is something that scares off a lot of people. It is, and this is perhaps why we're seeing a lot of centralized cryptocurrencies, you know, being planned or being released, where they say that, you know,
for example.
Yeah, or even if you look at coins like Ripple and all these other ones which were just launched with, I can't remember what the max supply is with Ripple, but basically billions of coins, and the idea is that you know, the sheer volume of coins means that they're never going to increase too much, and the idea is to be used as a currency. I mean, I don't know if you believe in this, guys, but a lot of people believe Bitcoin is not really a currency anymore. It's more of a reserve. It's more like a, you know, a digital gold.
I'd go with that. I would say that even if we, let's just say, for example, Bitcoin stayed at the current price and never went up, right? For one Bitcoin to be worth $2,500, $3,500 or whatever, that as a single denominational value is very high. And therefore, as people often point out, you're not going to go and buy a cup of coffee with 0.00016 Bitcoin. No, of course you're not. And therefore, you could already argue that its denominational value is too high for that purpose.
But for that, Norliss, could you not? I think I touched upon this in one of my last live streams with other guys.
It's all about Satoshis and not
Satoshis. You can switch to Satoshis and
Satoshis in a Bitcoin. So yeah, you're right. I think you know, if it ever was going to be used in that way, then realistically speaking, they'd
have to do something like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the same problem other cryptocurrencies would have as well.
Can I just go back to what Hugh was saying there about the volatility argument? I mean, I think someone's already pointed this out in the comments, but fiat currencies have tremendous problems with volatility as well. I mean, okay, I know everyone, you can easily jump on it and say, well, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, those are sort of developing third/second world economies, depending on your point of view. But it can also happen in the developed world. You only got to look at what happened to Germany in the 1920s. Anything can happen. We live in more unpredictable times than ever right now, and I think anyone who just assumes that those kind of things can only ever happen in places like Zimbabwe or Venezuela.
But that was the problem due to government policy printing money, and that devalued the currency.
Yeah, so but what do you think
that created a massive
Europe? Did we not go through a massive process of printing money after the 2008 crash, quantitative easing? What do you think your fiat pound is worth now compared to 10 years ago?
Yeah, but I've said this. I said the thing is cryptocurrency and
gap in the background there. So I'm not sure if something fell over or something. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting comments. Can you see these as well, Norliss?
Yeah, I can see them. Yeah, I'm just gonna have
to. Joseph said the mining process and fixed supply gives crypto value, which fiat does not. It's a low inflation currency. You can't print it or increase the max supply. The argument that fiat and crypto are the same is just wrong. Did you always have this view, Hugh? Like, now obviously, to your credit, I do appreciate you coming onto the channel, Hugh, because I do think that myself and Norliss, you know that we've probably got the opposite view here, and you probably know that a lot of people watch my channel. I mean, I've got a crypto channel, so it's likely. Yeah, so I do appreciate you coming on it. You know, when you know you're going against everyone else, it's not easy. But did you always have this view, or is this something that's maybe been shaped over the last year, just looking at cryptocurrency? Because I know
you look at cryptocurrency in the bubble. You look at the demand. So you look at Google Analytics. Yeah, I could show you. If you go on Analytics now, the demand
Google Trends,
Google searches,
Google Trends.
Google Trends almost correlate the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, but that's quite logical, though, wouldn't it?
I mean,
so it's demand-based, a very demand thing, and when the demand's not there and there's a lot of supply, it's economic.
But like, like for this, I can draw a lot of parallels with this. I know you're a little bit younger than me. To say it nicely, I'm an old fart. You're talking to two old farts here. But I started, you know, I created my first website in like 2000 and you know, and when I did that, I was like 20. And I remember those early days of domain names, and you know, everyone was doing domain name trading. And then there was a website bubble, and everyone said the internet was going to go down and it wasn't going to be successful, all these different things. But look, in hindsight, you know, it was just finding its feet almost. You know, that a lot of people were making mistakes. A lot of people threw money in at, you know, that's the thing, you know, people talk about the internet bubble, but the internet was still growing, and traffic was still growing, and the number of people using the internet was still growing. But what you did find, especially in America, was that a lot of people who had money, traditional money, were just throwing money at any company. Like, there was like a shoe company that was launched with $500 million, and you're like, well, of course it was going to fail. You're never going to recoup your money.
There's a hell of a lot of the things that are thrown at the criticisms that are thrown at Bitcoin and cryptocurrency now. For those of us who are old enough to remember the 90s, they were basically exactly the same. Yeah. It was people declaring, and you know, I can remember when the days when very few people actually had internet access. Those that did had to pay through the nose for it, and it was dial-up. And an awful lot of things, people just threw criticism, either didn't understand it, had no knowledge of it, criticized it. And then you had the dot-com bubble, which people always like to throw up as a comparison to Bitcoin. It's another bit, not dot-com bubble. But the thing I'd say to that is this, is if you bought any of the better tech stocks, even at the height of that bubble, and have a look at what they're worth now. Amazon is worth 5 times now what it was even at the height of the bubble. If you bought it at the bottom of the bubble.
Yeah, but Amazon's is backed by retail sales and money through that way. So it's not just it's not like a currency. It's an actual like they're actually turning over money.
Let me tell you something.
They're actually turning over.
Amazon didn't make a profit for the first 10 years in its existence. It was backed by massive hedge funds. Amazon would not be here today if it hadn't been for the fact that it drew an almost a bottomless pit of investment. I remember when I started buying stuff online, and let me tell you something, I started buying stuff online in the late 90s, and I have a conversation with someone and say, I bought something online, and they'd say, what do you mean by that? I bought something online. I don't know, can you explain that? Right,
and well, the thing is, there wasn't many websites
and I bought something, and they said, "What? You bought something online? What on earth? What possessed you? You put your credit card details online?" And they laughed at me. They thought that was absurd. You won't even.
It was absurd at the time, you know, because payment systems were new. You know, no one was shopping online. It was. I mean, I remember that time, and it was weird.
Yeah, but you fast forward 5 or 10 years and everyone's doing it. And not just that, but the other thing that I remember about that time was that there were actually lots and lots of companies around, many of whom had nicer websites and were arguably better than Amazon.
Yeah, but the difference between the bubble in the cryptocurrency and the dot-com bubble is the websites actually had a use. They had something new they could bring to the table. I'm not convinced cryptocurrencies has anything new to bring to the table.
So
they're not new.
Sent around the world instantly without any charge between banks, which could be sent from theoretically anyone who has an internet connection. Whereas
I can do that now with PayPal. I can send.
Yeah. Do you know how much PayPal charges? Do you know
what about the fees PayPal charge? What about the barriers?
But what do the fees in the currency exchange of Bitcoin? The Bitcoin exchange charged you about £50 at the height to exchange Bitcoin.
But you don't have to use an exchange. Like if I want to send money to your Norliss, I don't have to use an exchange. I just need to know your address. The thing about PayPal is I've been using PayPal since the beginning, pretty much since it launched. And you know, if I get sent $100, I get like 92 from that, and then I get a terrible exchange rate. Not to mention, there's a lot of people, you search online about PayPal, there's a lot of shop owners that had like $20,000, $50,000 sitting in their merchant account, and PayPal just closed their account and didn't give them the money back, and they didn't even speak to them on the phone about it. They just said, sorry, we're taking your money.
PayPal and Western Union will be the 2 first casualties of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
People will use cryptocurrency to send money in the way that they've been using here's another example. What you say about what use cryptocurrency has. Look at the amount of people out there, impoverished people, that end up having to send money back to their country of origin. And
yeah, Philippines is a good example of that.
You get screwed for sometimes 10 or 15% of that. They don't have to do that with cryptocurrency. I don't know how you can say it hasn't got a use. It's got a use that basically just completely circumvents the existing financial system, which has got to be worth something.
But the financial people like that control the governments have. I mean, how many times have you gone in? People have lost money. You're exposed to hackers. Digital currency is exposed to hackers.
Again,
your money could be lost.
You're talking
your money can be lost with a bank.
What
Your money can be lost with a bank.
What happens if your nan loses her code for a Bitcoin wallet? She loses all her money.
Yeah, but the thing is, we're still.
I mean, there's no way to recover it. I mean, in fiat currencies, there is a way to recover those things.
But you're only covered for so much. Like say for example,
no, but they all have a bank account, don't they?
Yeah, but if you stick like £1 million in a current account and the bank goes under, which many did back in the late 2000s, you're only covered up to something like 60 or 65 or 70,000 or something like that. After that, you don't actually have to pay it back. They're under no obligation to pay any more back.
Then what would Bitcoin, if it got hacked, be in any obligation to pay back the money they lost from?
No, but that's a different situation, because you've put your money with, instead of Bitcoin, which you can keep in your wallet and keep upstairs or keep it hidden in a box or bury it outside. This is an external party, a bank, Royal Bank, Northern Rock. Remember Northern Rock? You've got your money with Northern Rock. They've got your money. And then because of mistakes they made with gambling with the market, their company fails. And then all of a sudden you lose everything apart from whatever they're obligated to give you. Now, obviously the government tries not, to talk about that because it'd be anarchy. But in the UK, right, Joseph just said it's £75,000 insurance, right? I did my financial exams in the early 2000s, so the figures were different.
Well, yeah, if you remember, they had to up that because of the absolute chaos of the last financial crisis we had.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Now, I think,
and that's partly down to the fiat currencies, and
to compare like for like, what you were saying with the bank and losing your money. If you stored your Bitcoin with a company like Coinbase, then Coinbase got hacked. That's the same scenario, I would say, rather than your USB wallet getting hacked.
Yeah, Coinbase,
yeah. Well, Coinbase, was it not? Who was it? Was it Gemini or Genesis? Who was the one with the twins? They've got something in America so that people are covered if they are hacked, and they split the public keys between different vaults.
Yeah,
there is a way around it.
I think a lot of the objections or the pitfalls, if I can put it that way, that Hugh is pointing out here, are, I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody would deny that there aren't any pitfalls with cryptocurrency right now. But I think that you need to remember that we're talking about something in its infancy. These are issues that get resolved. It used to be the case that, these days, you put your money in a bank, and if a bank gets robbed, then you don't lose anything. If the bank gets hacked, you don't lose anything, and rightly so. It used to be the case that you deposit your money in the bank, if you go back far enough, and if that bank got robbed, that bank physically held your actual money, and therefore you lost the money. So again, we're just talking about an evolution of systems here, really.
I do think it's going to be a long time before it is evolved. I do agree with you. There's a lot of things to be ironed out, as far as...
Oh, absolutely there. And I don't think none of us would be in disagreement on that. I mean, we've had this conversation ourselves. If you talk about public keys, private keys, hard wallets, cold wallets, warm wallets, all the rest of it, to most people, their eyes would glaze over and they wouldn't want to know. I mean, it's too difficult at the moment, and there's too many potential pitfalls. And I think this is one of the things I personally like about crypto. Actually, is in some ways it returns to the roots of money, which is it makes the individual sovereign and responsible for their own money, as they used to be. Whereas I think a lot of people have got quite lazy. I mean, you think about the banking sector now. How much money would the banking sector love to? How much would the banking sector save if they were able to just turn around to their customers and say, right, this is your account is sacrosanct. If you leave your details or you forget your details and you get locked out, that's hard luck. You've lost the funds. Well, of course, they can't do that, and they wouldn't do that. But because there's that safety net, it makes people very lazy. It makes people careless.
Yeah,
now, obviously, sorry, Karen.
So yeah, well, you're right on that. I mean, I do think people are quite careless with the bank account details and that sort of, or that attitude of it'll be all right. I think that's definitely shown online on the cybercrime. I think that's definitely been reflected in that sort of area. But the problem I mainly have with cryptocurrency is that it can be easily outdone. So, for example, someone could make Bitcoin, then someone could fork Bitcoin, make something else.
But I think
make something new. So
but that's good.
Your asset could be just superseded, I mean, worthless in 10, 20 years. And everyone, like, not a lot of people are that involved into cryptocurrency, that they are so involved like you guys are, that they know the next new Bitcoin, the next new thing, and they will change their investments and they will change onto the next new Bitcoin to then that's their money to the same wealth.
That's a fair point. I do appreciate that, but I think when we reach mass adoption like that, it will be more stable. And it goes back to volatility. I think at that point, I mean, we need to get to the point where the apps and all that don't require public keys or DAT files or anything like that, because your grandmother isn't going to be able to do that. But I think at that point, Bitcoin will be stable. But as far as what you're saying, it is a good point. I do think it's a good point.
The thing is, the cryptocurrencies can be replicated. They can be replicated into different coins. They can be forked off and all that stuff. And you know they can do that. The thing is, if you have gold cannot be replicated. It's an asset. It's a mineral which no one can replicate. But
the problem is,
what we need is something. I'm not advocating fiat currencies, but I'm advocating maybe something with a digital currency linked to gold, something along that.
Well, there are currencies coming out that are being tied to gold and silver and US dollar and all that as well. There are coins coming out doing that, which in many respects for a lot of them it's just a marketing kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say
things like that are coming.
Firstly, yes, it's true that you can fork coins, and that has been a real sort of what can you say, a thorn in the side, frankly, up until date. But you can't actually replicate a cryptocurrency. There is only one Bitcoin. You can make a fork and you can call it Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Trash and Bitcoin Roger Ver's a total arsehole and whatever you want. Sorry, not Roger Ver. Yeah, Roger Ver, Craig Wright. But you can't actually replicate Bitcoin. There is only one Bitcoin. If there was any serious doubt about that, you don't think that you'd have anything like the institutional interest and money that is about to pour into this whole thing. And secondly, as for being backed by gold, I think I've got no objections to anything being backed by something physical. But just because Bitcoin currently isn't backed by gold doesn't make it worthless. I'd argue the opposite.
But it is worthless as a digital asset at the moment because they have no value on it. They are.
Well, they do have value. That's why people are paying money for it. But
anything for which people pay money has a value.
The value is driven by demand. And once that demand
that's everything. It's supply and demand. But to go back to what you were saying there, Norliss, I would actually disagree with you and agree with you in this one. See, as far as there could be another coin that takes the code and it becomes more popular, I think right now, especially because we're early days, Bitcoin has value, and it's, it's hard for us to see right now that it's not going to be the main one right now. But maybe at one point it won't be the top coin. Now, we could maybe draw maybe this is a really bad comparison, maybe a bad example, but you'll go back to social media networks. In the UK, there was Friends Reunited. I know every country's got different ones, but in the UK, it was Friends Reunited, and then MySpace just decimated it, and MySpace was huge. And then Facebook turned up. Facebook killed everyone. And now I've spoke to a lot of friends that used to be Facebook junkies, and they say, I don't even have a Facebook account anymore. I only post on Instagram. So it's easy to think that one will always remain the top. And I know this is maybe not like for like a currency and a social media network, but there are some parallels that can be drawn. And 20 years is a long time. A year is a long time in crypto. Look at a year ago what the price of Bitcoin was.
I do hear what you're saying, but I think we're talking about two slightly different things now, which is that the sort of what was the sort of the driver for this entire discussion was that cryptocurrency is worthless, which is Hugh's assertion. And now what we're talking about is the idea of other currencies usurping Bitcoin. And that's a fair enough point to make.
No, it was more about someone maybe putting their retirement fund into Bitcoin, and then 10 years later, Bitcoin's not the daddy, and they've not checked. I think, is that what you were trying to suggest? Like, they haven't checked the prices, and then
yeah.
But I mean, I think, that problem
and that
exists right now.
If you think you're saying you want to cut out the middleman, that would need a middleman, because say an average Joe, they wouldn't want to keep up. They haven't got time. They just want to coach. They want to be doing sweeping rows. They don't want to be. They're in a job.
I think on a daily
how their money constantly going down.
Can I just ask Hugh?
They will need a middleman, like an accountant, to constantly manage. So there will be some middleman somewhere.
How friendly do you think it is for the average Joe, as you put it, to invest in gold and silver?
Well, it's quite easy now. There's numerous websites out there which you can easily buy gold now.
Do you think that
it's much easier?
Do you think it's easier to invest in gold and cryptocurrency?
Yeah. Because you can easily transact your money from your account, so you can easily buy pounds sterling into gold.
Can I ask you?
It's probably the same today, because you can Coinbase, you can deposit funds and buy crypto directly as well.
No, but a lot of cryptocurrencies now require you to have some sort of previous cryptocurrency to even trade it. You can't buy directly from a fiat currency into a cryptocurrency. A lot of them require you to either have.
But that's a different argument, because exchanges don't accept certain coins for many different reasons.
Can I ask Hugh? Have you bought gold? Have you invested in gold?
Not really, no.
No, okay. Well, the only reason I ask,
I don't really see it as an investment. I see it as a wealth. It's a wealth holder. It's not really an investment.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, the thing is, you can see
people invest in gold to hold the value of their wealth, because people also do that because it's a tangible asset. I think a lot of people are turning, and the economy is turning to solid assets, because they fear, like you said, like cryptocurrencies, and people fear that their fiat currency could at any moment collapse. They could.
But again, this goes back to what we're saying with volatility. To go back to what we're saying with volatility.
True, but it's true with cryptocurrency and fiat currencies have the same problem.
That's true. Yeah, they do.
Because they are worthless, because fiat currencies are basically a piece of paper.
Yeah,
and they're basically something saying, yeah, this is what it's worth on a piece of paper. And cryptocurrency is just done by sheer demand. So that's worthless. It's only value to what the next person to buy it. So if the next person wants to pay 6,000 for it, then it's probably worth 6,000. But then if no one wants to buy it for 6,000, the price will just drop. So you can't tell.
But again, this is volatility. Like, over time, the more people that own Bitcoin, the more stable it will be, because more people are using it, or the more anyone's using cryptocurrency, it's going to be more stable. So on a day-to-day basis, just like fiat currency, the price of the pound and the euro and the dollar change every day relative to other currencies. It changes every single day. But for the average Joe on the street, they don't know that. Now, this is something that's directly affecting me, because the price of the dollar against the pound has changed a lot. And at certain times of the year, that means I'm making 30% more than other times of the year because of the exchange rate. But the average Joe doesn't know that.
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, on a day-to-day basis, no one notices that, because it looks the same, but only its value compared to other assets.
But the value of those coins go down, what, 20, 30p, 40p difference maybe in a year?
No, but again, this is volatility. We're at the beginning of crypto.
But we're talking about very small amounts. I mean, they are very small amounts. In cryptocurrency, you could be talking.
Doesn't always have to be a small amount. Look at what happened with the Brexit.
It was only $20,000, wasn't it? The cryptocurrency was worth not a while back. Now it's only worth like 6. So.
But again, it goes back to the argument that we're at the beginning of it. When more people use cryptocurrency, when it becomes mass, when it's adopted on a mass scale, the volatility certainly is more popular.
Cryptocurrency has been adapted on a mass scale.
It hasn't. We've not even scratched the surface. We haven't even scratched the surface. We are maybe 2-3 years before. It's when you see it being accepted on Amazon, and eBay and all these other places. And then when you see the average Joe on the street perhaps using to gamble using crypto instead of pounds or dollars or something, that's when it'll be people know about crypto, but they don't really know about it. And you know, I'm probably one of the only person out of all my friends, maybe one or two, that have got like any kind of cryptocurrency app. It's just, I think it is where maybe 5-6 years before it's, maybe even longer before it's really adopted by everyone.
We're going back to this. Sorry, I was going to say, we're going back to this old argument about how nascent a technology it is. I mean, money is something that takes a long time to evolve. You know, for many, many, many years, hundreds of years, people used to barter. I'll give you a goat for 4 chickens. And people were happy with that for a long time. Then we started using precious metals and precious substances, you know, like diamonds or pearls or whatever. And that was currency for a long time before we settled on gold. And then all of a sudden, when we had the idea to actually store gold for reasons of safety and portability and divisibility and use paper money, do you know how long it took people to accept pieces of paper that represented actual money? It took a hell of a long time. I would say the fact that even within 10 years of Bitcoin's birth, that you can actually spend it, albeit not in a huge amount of places. I'd be the first to admit that. You can't go around and conduct all your transactions in Bitcoin. Far from it. You could probably conduct an absolute minority of them. But the fact that we're even where we are now within 10 years is pretty remarkable, really. And again, the volatility, I'll just draw back to the size of the market. It's a tiny market, and the price is volatile. And just to pick, I'll shut up in a sec, but just to pick up on a point that Hugh made there about fiat currencies and not having the same level of volatility. Well, let me tell you something. It might not sound a lot if £1 is worth $1.30 at the beginning of the year and it's worth $1.38 at the end of the year. But if you think of the size of transactions that go in and on, that shift in value is absolutely massive. It makes a huge difference. There are businesses which are basically have gone to the wall based or nearly gone to the wall purely based off the fact that the pound is worth considerably less against the euro and the dollar.
But it hasn't lost 70% of its value from what it was in a year ago.
Certain currencies have.
Certain currencies has, but that's why the dollar has been almost the thing which they consider as not going away. That's why it's a safe investment.
But again, you know, there's a lot of comments about this just now, but comments about inflation and the devaluation of the currency. The US dollar, for example, like, not to get too political, but if for example, a lot of oil-rich countries decided not to price their barrels by the dollar and decided to adopt the euro or some other, you know, that would really affect the value of the dollar across the globe. It's maybe not going to happen. I don't see it happen in my lifetime, I don't think. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the problem with a fiat currency. It is backed by demand, and that's what you pointed out, that if oil wasn't conducting dollars transactions, it would be down.
Backed by demand. It's backed by central governments who print it at will and have been printing more and more of it. Fiat currency has a bigger supply now than it's ever had, and it'll have a bigger supply in a year's time and a bigger supply in 5 years' time. Therefore, it's an inflationary currency. It's going up. Its value is going down all the time.
Yeah, exactly, and it will eventually become a worthless thing.
Oh, I agree with you totally on that. I think fiat is doomed. It's an experiment which basically has had a good innings and is going to be. It's going
to be pretty awful for when it fails, and there does need to. I agree. I mean, I'm not saying that fiat is going to be the standard. I'm not saying fiat is the right way, because this current system at the moment is absolutely atrocious. There needs to be some different form. But I mean, we've been using the gold standard for centuries, and it's been working. So I don't understand why now we need to suddenly dream up a different solution to the problem. Somehow why cryptocurrency now can solve that problem, I don't understand. It's worked in the past. It's worked for centuries. It's the only system which is actually done for a long periods of time and works stable. It being stable. Cryptocurrency at the moment has not proven to be a stable thing. Yes, you could say it's in its infancy, but I mean,
it is in its infancy, and that's a huge aspect.
But the thing is that the gold standard, the reason that's worked is because the piece of paper backed by a piece of gold means that if if that was gone, gold. I mean, gold's valuable. I mean,
But again, gold,
cryptocurrency
that
isn't
whole
backed
market,
by anything.
but that whole market, gold market, can be manipulated as well. Whereas
well, not just that, but let's
a
be
max
honest,
supply can't.
we deem gold to be valuable, but there's nothing to say that something could change and that all of a sudden we deem it not to be valuable.
But
gold is valuable because historically it has been, and because it's a scarce asset. But there's nothing to say that it isn't.
But it's also valuable because people can use it. It's using smartphones and stuff. It's gold.
But there's other metals that are used more than gold. So surely, yes. you know, and I don't know. I think the gold market is maybe a bad example, because I know that the whole industry is quite corrupt, and I don't know if this is true, but there's documentaries there saying that for every 1 kilogram or every bar of gold, it's actually been sold multiple times to multiple people. So you think you're buying a share of gold, or you've bought a gold bar, but it's actually been sold to 5 other people. And if someone had to actually say, give me my gold bar, they can't do it. And this happens in the financial system as well.
Yeah, in fact, that actually, what you've just said there ties back to something a point I was going to make earlier on. When I asked Hugh if he actually has bought gold, that I was going to ask if he said yes, I was going to ask him if he actually has physical gold or whether he's just bought, because there are plenty of services that allow you to set up an account and buy gold, but you're buying virtual gold.
Yep.
And you've just hit the nail on the head there. You know, frankly, if I'm going to spend 50 grand on gold, I want a 50 grand gold ingot sat in my drawer in my safe, because I know that I've got it. If it's just a number on someone's ledger, then it's meaningless.
And that raises questions of someone breaking into Norliss's house and stealing that gold bar.
Yeah, for the record, I don't have 50 grams worth of gold. And if you break in on that presumption, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
You get hit over the head by a silver bar, copper bar. Yeah. No, I think this is an interesting discussion. I think this kind of thing is going to come up more because of what's happening with Bitcoin. There are a lot of articles out there talking about. I came across an article here, and it's saying that Bitcoin derives its unique value from the fact that despite its lack of official backing or wide acceptance, it has generated an ecosystem in which many people are willing to trade and accept it. And that kind of sums it up.
The value is people's faith in the system at the end of the day, just like the value in pound sterling is people's faith in it. Pound sterling has value only in as much as, or the dollar or the euro or the Japanese yen, those systems have value because people accept them as having value. But if all of a sudden, if there's an apocalypse and paper becomes worthless, they have no value anymore. And to be honest with you, I mean, you could make the same point of a lot of stuff. Yes, gold is a physical scarce asset, but what if all of a sudden people's desire and taste for gold went down the pan, as it did with silver? Silver used to be considered more valuable than it is now. But silver is kind of, it's been a long time since I read this, but if I remember correctly, silver's kind of a nominal value took a nosedive once gold became far more divisible.
But the problem you've got here is that you're actually replacing a fiat system with another fiat system.
Sorry, what's the fiat system that's replacing the fiat system?
Because the demand on the cryptocurrency, it's got no tangible value at all.
But what's
valuable? Saying it's only going to give value because people are going to use it as a cryptocurrency.
But what do you think has value then? What has
value? Well,
like, does a gift voucher have value?
Technically not, no.
Right. But if someone offered you, like, say, £1 million in Amazon vouchers and £20 notes, and they offered it for, like, say, a fifth of the cost, would you take it? Does it have value then?
Well, it depends what you can trade it for. If I could
trade it,
exactly. If Amazon went
this is where, but that's the thing. If you can't, it's a medium of exchange. That's all it is. You're agreeing that something is worth something to exchange these goods for those goods, and then everyone agrees on it. And I mean, essentially, that's what currency is. It's so that we don't have to, I go down to the baker's and then I go to the butcher shop and I trade him my pots that I made and he trades it to that guy. We need some sort of system that we can all agree on.
Yeah.
I know it's a very idiotic way to look at currency, but you know what I mean?
In my drawer, I have still got, and maybe one day it will be worth something again because it might be a collector's item. I've got a £5 voucher for Virgin Megastore, if anyone remembers those. Now, when that was given to me, it was worth £5, not in the sense that I could spend it anywhere, but I could take goods to the value of £5 from Virgin Megastore. Within about 2 weeks, Virgin Megastore went to tits, so that voucher became absolutely worthless. And that is the fragility of any kind of token of exchange, really, isn't it?
No system is perfect. That's what you have to realize. What's your thoughts, Hugh, on, you know, as far as, even if you forget the fact you're saying it doesn't have value like a shop does.
The problem I intrinsically have with cryptocurrency is there's people are going to investing in cryptocurrencies. So there's two. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 people. I don't know if I can stereotypically line them up. I think there's going to be one person who's going in there so they can make money. There's another person who thinks, oh, Bitcoin's the future. But I mean, are you really saying that? I mean, did you join this community? Did you join Bitcoin? Did you join cryptocurrency? I mean, you came here to make money. I mean,
yes,
everyone came and joined here.
I believe in cryptocurrency, but yes, I invested well over £10,000 in mining equipment because I wanted to make money.
Exactly.
I do believe in it. Yeah, but I think
say the demand leveled off to Bitcoin. Say it was worth 10 leveled off. Are you saying that you would hold on to that asset? Would you hold on to? I mean, because if it did level out and you said you was going to keep a stable value, I mean, would you hold on to that asset? Would you hold on to it? Because it's effectively holding a current account, which does not make any more interest.
I think you're talking about 2 different things here. You're talking about whether, if I've got $10,000 of Bitcoin, whether I just keep it in an account or... Yeah,
if you have $10 of Bitcoin, would you just keep it in an account? I mean...
Yeah, it depends whether I need that money.
You can't have a commodity and you can't have a currency because there's 2 people. There's people who want to make money.
Everyone wants to make money.
Yeah.
We are early adopters. The early adopters in the internet, the early adopters in domain names, where people were registering the most obscure domain names, hoping to flip them. Those guys were trying to make money too. But you have to realize that this is what drives innovation forward. The people, look at the drug industry, look at pharmaceuticals, look at technology, look at what's happening in China. The people that are driving the industry forward, as far as mobile phones go, as far as anything goes, they're not doing it for the goodness of their health. We'd all be sitting with, on the beach, chilling, drinking coconut, drinks and pina coladas.
Invested in Amazon or invested in Facebook or invested in Google did it purely out of some sort of move of, benevolence or some sort of, belief in the advancement of technology? No, they didn't. The vast majority of them did it because they thought it was going to make them money. Now, there are people amongst them who may have done it with the dual belief that it was going to make them money and they believed in it. The majority of people did it because they thought they were going to make money.
The problem I have in terms of the actual, and to get to the point of the point of where you say that it becomes a tangible asset where it does not have any sort of area where it will kind of grow to a different sort of being, it will become a currency in effect. You'd have to get to it would have to replace a fiat currency. It would have to replace. I mean, there's all these exchange rated mechanisms which governments like. They like quantitative easing. They do all this sort of stuff to stimulate the economy. One of the reasons they like inflation is because the U.S. economy is a commodity-driven economy, and the more inflation, if you have inflation, the value of your money goes down. So it makes people want to spend more money. But the cryptocurrency does the opposite. If you hold on to cryptocurrency, you're hoping that the value will go up. So you will not spend it.
But that's not always true. That's maybe true for Bitcoin, but there are cryptocurrencies that have got billions of a max supply. There's others that have, no max supply, and they've got inflation and other things built in. And you have to, as far as governments trying to control the value of money, which, lots of governments do that. There's governments that don't as well. You've got countries like Ecuador that simply adopted the US dollar. Like, the US dollar is the currency there, and they don't control that. They've got no control over the value of their own system. And there's others that peg the system they peg their own unique currency to the dollar, so that if there's any problems with the dollar, they can unpeg it and they don't track it one for one anymore. Going back back to the 90s, the punt used to follow the pound in Ireland.
Yeah, well, even now the Swiss franc is sort of pegged to the euro, I believe.
Right, kind of makes sense.
I think it might. I'm not sure if it still is. It was at some point, anyway.
I think as far as crypto replacing fiat, I think that's interesting. But when that happens, I don't know. I think we're going to have 10, 15, 20 years of maybe fiat and crypto working in tangent, working alongside each other.
Yeah. I don't think one has to replace I don't think fiat.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency has to supplant fiat overnight.
Well, if it did, you could maybe you could get government, like this is probably what's going to happen. You might end up, each government has their own centralized currency, pound coin, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen, actually.
Yeah. But really, again, I still think that we are early adopters, and whether you realize it or not, we're actually helping shape the system as far as what coins you mine and which projects you support, which coins you buy. We're helping shape the system, and a lot of these coins are going to go to nothing because they're shit coins.
I think the blockchain is the innovative area of the whole cryptocurrency, but I wouldn't say it's the cryptocurrency in itself which will be the main contributor to actually to make it better. I'd say the blockchain behind the technology in blockchain is innovative, and I completely agree. It's the best thing you could. It's moving forward in terms of transaction insecurity and all that stuff. And I think that's why there's so many startups now and so many banks interested in blockchain. But I don't think they're interested in cryptocurrency, as I say. I mean, there's no major banks now which are no Goldman Sachs are holding off. There's at the minute it's a wild west, and the problem is you've got people who, on the one hand, want it to be the Wild West because it's anonymous. I can't even say it.
Anonymous. Don't worry, I do this all the time. It always happens when you're live.
So people want that to sort of stay secret. And
well, this is the thing, though, because this is an interesting subject.
But people also want
being anonymous
regulation at the same time. So there's libertarians out there who want that sort of
well,
but then
the
regulation, it takes the attractiveness away from the currency, because people say, "Oh, screw the government; they're going to screw you over," and all that sort of stuff.
Well, but
then they don't like that control. But then people want the control because otherwise there'll be massive amount of scammers.
Well, I've been criticised for this on my own channel. I've been criticised because I've said that for mass adoption, I believe that we're going to have to accept some sort of regulation. The government wants their cut. They want you to pay taxes if you're earning money in crypto. It has to happen for it to be adopted on a wide scale. And, I think that's necessary. But at the same time, I think one of the beautiful things about cryptocurrency is the fact that it's not being regulated by a government. Governments is not about morality. Laws change all the time. 100 years ago, you can own a slave in certain countries. And there's certain countries today that you can get sent to jail if you happen to be homosexual or you have, a different sexual orientation than someone else. And if you get sent to jail, they can just take your assets, they can take your business, they can take everything. And to have something like Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency where the government can't touch you, even if you're, sent to jail for, attempted murder or rape or something else, or you've been set up, whether you've done it or not, that's a whole different debate. But if you've not, just assume you're innocent and someone's framed you, or you've broken a law which is quite frankly a bullshit law, they can take all your money and then you don't get it back. And at that point, your money and your wealth and your whole life is almost like a privilege. And I think this is what cryptocurrency was born out of. I'm kind of torn about this though, as I said, because I'm sounding a bit of a hypocrite.
But the thing is, governments can do exactly the same thing with cryptocurrencies. They can outlaw cryptocurrencies. For example, if you wanted to change something now into a fiat currency, you'd need an exchange. They just shut down the exchanges, make it very hard.
That's why there's a drive for decentralized exchange.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not quite sure how. I haven't looked into it enough, but technology now is getting pretty scary, and the amount of things the NSA Intel can track people with now is insane. And there's nothing. I mean, there was talk. I've seen articles not so long ago that that the NSA have been implementing these weird software and Bitcoin.
No, I would agree with you. I would agree
with. I mean, there's nothing which is, in terms of that way, which is secretive. So people say it's going to be a safe way. Criminals think it's a safe way. I wouldn't suggest it is a safe way anymore. I mean, once they've got all that things done, I would say it's much harder now for a government to say, if I tracked you and I handed over you a gold ingot, then it would be for, say, me to do it online, where everything is traced, everything is logged online.
But it's not. You're assuming that someone has all their wealth on a public exchange. Like, I could have all my Bitcoin on a USB drive, or even stored in an encrypted file in some cloud server. I'm not saying that's the way to do it, but you could do that, and then the government wouldn't even know you had those funds. Yeah. They wouldn't know. And, you know, even if they knew you had it, they couldn't get it from you.
But I mean, in terms of the actual, you said like they don't know the funds. I mean, it also comes down to ethical questions. I mean, how can they tell how much money you've got? How much can they tax you?
They can't. But that's like saying, can they tell how many pounds you've got hidden underneath your floorboards?
But I mean, I know you say, so on one, there is a clear thing that into a functioning society where everyone has to pay taxes. How is HMRC going to actually tell how much people are earning if everything is done?
Well, exactly. This is the issue. But they have to rely on people being honest.
But that's never going to work, is it? I mean, come on.
Well, it does. This is where the threat of going to jail comes in. That's why Wesley Snipes got sent to jail for tax evasion for years. You know, they can examine. Like, I've been self-employed. I've been self-employed for a long time.
If everyone did that, there wouldn't be any NHS. There wouldn't be any fire service.
But you're assuming that people aren't doing the right. Like, I've been self-employed for a long time. I've paid my taxes. I've always been honest with what I've paid. But I'll be honest, if I wanted to, because I make my money in dollars and I've got multiple accounts, I could be an asshole and just tell them I made less. I don't do it. And one of the main reasons is because I want to pay, and I do support the NHS and all that. The other reason is, if I was audited, I'd have to prove every single thing, and there's a high risk of going to jail. And I think, you know, for most people as well, it's more the self-employed kind of question there, really, because other people, businesses would have to be honest. It's the same way they are just now.
But that could be all done anonymously. I mean,
it could be, but it's not going to.
But I mean, you could only track that by doing some centralized mechanism of exchange, and effectively.
How does a government track cash?
Well, it can't.
Exactly.
And that's why there's a lot of illegal activity. I mean, there's.
Yeah, I know, but like your argument is
a lot of taxi drivers.
Your argument for paying taxes. There's a lot of people who, you know, work in bands, who are joiners. There's a lot of people who sign on for benefits who still have other jobs and they're paid in cash. That problem exists right now. As far as not paying your taxes, as far as not showing the government what you owe, that problem exists right now.
Yeah, and you were just saying a minute ago that you were saying that everyone would be fine, everyone would contribute to taxes, and everyone would be honest to it. I mean,
not everyone. There's always people.
Now pointing out there is a significant portion of people in the United Kingdom who do not follow that.
Yeah, but that's always going to be the case. That's always going to be the case. You're always going to get people who don't want. God, even the government, the politicians aren't paying what they should.
Yeah.
How many these guys are doing tax evasion?
Sticky ground if we're going to go into tax, because let's be honest, the amount of tax that taxi drivers in Bradford or whatever you were just alluding to there, Dodge, is like a couple of drops of piss in the Indian Ocean compared with the amount of tax that Vodafone and massive corporations get off.
Yeah, Amazon, Starbucks, and all that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and if you I mentioned this in the last time we had a stream, but you know, I think you know, think about this. Recently, we had House of Fraser looking like it was going to go under. Now it's been bought by the Sports Direct guy or whatever. Some of the shops are going to stay open. Some of the shops aren't. You know, okay, whatever. But the Oxford Street flagship store, its business rates were more than the entire corporation tax that Amazon paid in that year. So, you know, I don't think tax really is a valid argument against cryptocurrency. Really, I think and it's the same thing. I'm fair play that you haven't brought this up. I thought you were going to, but you haven't. Which is that old chestnut about money laundering. Because whenever people bring up money laundering in relation to cryptocurrency, it makes me laugh. Because my response to that is, firstly, did money laundering not exist before cryptocurrency was ever born? Yes, and using crypto and using things like money laundering or tax evasion as a stick with which to hit crypto, you might as well say, well, criminals wear shoes, criminals use mobile phones, criminals drive cars. I don't see anyone lobbying to get rid of any of those things.
Yeah, but criminals are like the tractors of being a secret currency. It does attract those criminals. I mean, that's the problem. People do like that sort of, when there is money, people do like people to be accountable. I mean, as you said, Vodafone, a respectable business. I mean, you would say it was a respectable business. You'd probably say Starbucks is a respectable business. They don't pay any tax.
I wouldn't say respectable.
Well, maybe not now.
The higher you go up the tree, the more corrupt it is. That's the way that I would look at it.
But that's the thing. It's like, if people in an era where people are money central, money orientated, money and profit, people will do everything in their own game to maximize their profit. Whether that's not same for the cash. And I would say Bradford. I'm not. Please don't say I'm branding all Bradford taxi drivers with the thing, but I have heard that some taxi drivers do not claim the wage they're getting to what the wage, because everything is cash in hand. Yeah, and it's the same with vending machine.
That's always the risk with any cash business. People do not
claim thing, and it will be the same with cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency, if it's all secretly done, people could be earning $1 million, but they could be saying, I am just a cleaner. I am only earning.
But again, it comes down to who's actually going to be doing this again, because Bitcoin doesn't have any privacy. It's all on the public ledger. So if we're only talking about, I realize that, maybe we're saying Bitcoin here, we mean crypto. There are privacy, cryptocurrencies. But where do you see, Hugh? Where do you see cryptocurrency being in like 3 years, 5 years time? Do you think it's going to still be around? Do you think it will be?
I think it'll be around. I think it'll be around, but I just do not think it will supersede what we have today.
Well, never mind superseding, like replacing the pound or anything. Do you think cryptocurrencies are going to continue being here, and do you think they will evolve?
I think it might be around. I think it probably will evolve, and I think it will either be kind of a sub asset, maybe an asset which maybe it hasn't, like, maybe kind of be kind of like the digital version of gold, but actually the price goes up and down. Maybe the adoption of being a currency probably won't happen. I think the idea that will happen, because as someone said to me, that, I mean, people can't be masters of two things. It can't be a commodity and people invest, and it can't be a cryptocurrency. It can't be an investment area, or it can't be a crypto. It can't be a means of exchange, because one thing people like certainty. Businesses are averse for risk. I mean, would you honestly say now you would sign a contract now?
But again, you're using Bitcoin as cryptocurrency.
Infancy.
No, but Bitcoin isn't cryptocurrency. I think that's important to remember. There's other cryptocurrencies that are solving the problems that Bitcoin have, as far as being more of a reserve than a currency. There's other currencies coming out with billions as a max supply. Even look at ones that were mineable, like Ravencoin. They've got a huge max supply. And what happens if one of these coins...
max supply needs a max demand.
A max demand?
So it needs a proportional amount of demand to meet the supply to make the proximal valuation.
Yeah, but a proof of work coin with max supply, the actual number of coins out there would grow with demand. It's not like you're saying there's a billion coins. There's 10. The actual supply would grow as the coin grew over time. So the max supply would grow.
Occurred to me, actually. We started this debate with Hugh's assertion that cryptocurrency stroke Bitcoin stroke both was essentially worthless. A few minutes ago, Kev, you just said, where do you see it in 3 years? And Hugh said, yes, it'll still be around. It may be like digital gold. I think you just made my point for me.
Digital, but when I mean digital gold, I mean a lot of people. I mean, in what I meant by digital gold, I don't mean digital gold because the price of gold is probably very high, but I mean it'll be some sort of asset online which will hold a value, but it probably won't hold a value of significance what it is today in the thousands. I think it could be some like another subculture of a trading platform. It would be like a shares or a bond.
So what
that sort of area.
What you're saying is you accept that it would be a store of value, but you just don't think that it'll be the same, have the same value attached to it as it currently has.
Yeah. And because of that, I just don't think people will adopt, because I think people are primarily wanting to go into cryptocurrency as a way to make money. I think if you remove that, then the attractiveness of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general goes down.
You have changed your argument slightly, because you started off saying that it was worthless, and now you're saying that you accept it'll have some sort of value, albeit lower than today. To be honest with you, that the value is not something any of us can predict. It could be lower than today in 3 years, or it could be 10 times as much.
But a lot of people come in today in the cryptocurrency world because they think this is going to be the next big thing. This is going to be adopted by everyone. Because if I hold on to this long enough, it's going to be adopted to anything. So this currency is going to be worth absolutely tons. So if I mine 7,000 of this coin now, I will get 7,000.
But those people are speculators, and investors,
and there's a lot of speculators. And I mean,
yeah, but that doesn't change the actual.
That this market is not made up of a lot of speculating. It's like, I don't know. You can't.
But it doesn't change the actual purpose of the coin and what the coin could be used for. Take a brand new coin, Hugh coin, Norliss coin, Kev coin, whatever. But say a top game like Call of Duty or some sort of multiplayer coin decides that in order to get new characters, you have to have this currency. Over time, I mean, instantly that has value because there's a demand for it. And that's just one example. You could have, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You've got like token systems as well. I'll give you another example. Like I've got, like whenever I buy things online, whenever I buy website related things, it's nearly always paid by PayPal. I sent an angry tweet recently, and it was about two different. I do a lot of angry tweets. I use Twitter to complain a lot. But I sent about Envato, the digital marketplace, Envato, and what was the other one? KeyCDN, a content delivery network for the website. So it kind of speeds up your websites and stuff. Now, both of those websites have the same setup. You deposit, say you need credit to buy something, a digital item such as a theme. It could be music. It could be anything to create some sort of creative item like a video or a website. That's a digital asset, and you have to buy it. So say it's $10. They will say, well, you have to buy $15 worth of credit. So you have to deposit $15 worth of credit. Now, the other day, I sent up an angry tweet because my credit on both of those websites expired. They said, well, it's $10, but you have to deposit $15. So I had money sitting in my account, and then it just expires. I had like $15 in one, $50 in another, and it just expires. That credit just expires. And it's kind of the same thing. They've created this system where you have to change your PayPal, change your money via PayPal to monopoly money, is maybe what some people would call it, and then it expires. But it's the same thing. It has value because I can buy items with that credit. It has value.
Yeah, you get ecosystems, don't you? I mean, for anyone who's been to a gig, and I'm not saying this happens at any gig, but there's been a number of gigs I've been to where you go in and there's a very secure little place which is exchanging cash money for little plastic tokens. And then when you go to the bar, you have to use these tokens, and one token is the equivalent of a pint or whatever.
Oh, I hate that. I hate when pubs do that.
Yeah, I don't like it either. But the point is, that token, if you walked out of there with that, is a piece of plastic. It's worth absolutely nothing. But in that little world, that token is worth a pint of lager.
It's like cigarettes in the prison system.
Well, exactly.
But you're going around to the same argument now as a fiat currency. A fiat currency. Now you're just drumming down to the... No.
What you're saying is there's an ecosystem.
The value of the particular item you're trading is the value of the commodity you want. So, I mean, you're just saying that if you say the beer, if you just said just the beer now, you want the beer isn't the thing you want. You're paying with your little plastic coins how much they want that, how much do you want that beer with the 2 or 3 things.
No, to be honest, the only reason I brought that up is because Kevin mentioned
that was on.
And to be honest, it was probably a bit of a fatuous point to make anyway. But I just go back to what you were saying before about the fact that we started off where you said they're essentially worthless and they have no value, and yet in 3 years' time, you think that it'll actually have value, as it'll have a store of value. I hate to keep making the same point, but the point about volatility, you said earlier on, would you want to sign a contract in Bitcoin because you don't really know what that value is going to be? That's a perfect fair argument to make, because at the moment we live in a fiat-dominated world. So therefore, if I was going to sign a contract with someone for work, I think we've lost Hugh.
Yeah, I don't know if something's fell down in the background.
Well, I might as well just carry on making the point for now. But the point I was going to make is that right now, if somebody said, would you do this piece of work, or would you sign this contract and I'll pay you in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever? Yes, I might think twice about anchoring myself to a specific amount, because the fluctuations they could work either in my favor or they could work to my detriment. But again, we're just talking about the early stages of a currency, aren't we? That's not going to be the case with mass adoption.
Yeah.
And also, I think the whole argument about Bitcoin being digital gold means that ultimately Bitcoin may not actually be a cryptocurrency that we use as a currency, and it could actually just end up being a store of gold, i.e. digital gold.
I mean, yeah, and I think...
But either way, it won't be worthless, whichever way it ends up being.
The problem is that you need regulation to back up a cryptocurrency, because I don't think at the minute, I do not think that people will adopt cryptocurrency. I don't think there's, at the moment, I mean, you could say that's almost a good thing because it allows it to develop in a sense. But also, I would say now it needs some form of regulation, because fiat currency, I mean, you need to get
how would regulation...
You need to get a consistent demand. And what it's now, the problem is you're replacing a fiat currency with basically another fiat currency.
I don't understand how.
Well, if that's Bitcoin, I kind of repeat it. I'm kind of
but what I mean is, how could regulation help Bitcoin's volatility? I don't understand how.
Because, for example, if someone said, if a country
you're going to disregard the whole proof of work mining system,
or some proof of work. If they said this is what we're going to adopt our national currency to, that will raise the demand significantly for one currency, and that will then max out of supply. At the moment, you do not have a supply. I mean, there's no cryptocurrency which is the demand is equal out to the supply of the coin. There's none.
Well,
I don't know where you're going with this. Sorry, I don't know if I'm maybe not understanding
the regulation. I mean, for investors to get involved, they need clear regulation. They need to know sort of what's happening, and the instability of regulation and the stuff which is collapsing.
Oh, you're saying there's not enough regulation right now? That's why the price is going down?
But the negative.
I don't know how.
So China, for example, has been regulating ICOs. South Korea, I think, banned.
All of this will come, though. All of this will come as far as regulation and making sure that we don't have scam coins and pump and dump coins, all that kind of stuff. I would welcome that with open arms. I would love to see that. I would love to see all these cowboys, all these pump and dump assholes. I would love to see them getting screwed and taken to jail or whatever. I'd love to see that. But I don't think that's what's changing the price of Bitcoin right now, if I'm honest. I don't think what's been happening with with Bitcoin's price, and I don't think it really changes whether Bitcoin has value.
Well, what's affected the price of Bitcoin is the fact that it's an absolutely minuscule market. It's tiny, and a very small number of people have a very disproportionate amount of power on it. If I have 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 Bitcoins, I can effectively offload them and tank the price to next to nothing, and then I can buy them back and send the price to the moon. Now, that's not possible in any of the established markets because they're huge and they're not worth...
Yeah, because it's distributed.
I mean,
trillions.
I mean, someone raised at the comment that you need to mine to make the supply bigger. You need to mine. The problem with that now is that the cost of actually mining has risen above what the benefit of the coin is. So I mean, that's stopping. I mean, with gold, when you mine gold, you get gold back into a physical asset.
But gold can drop in value as well.
Have you seen how much gold has fluctuated in price?
No, but I mean, what you're getting is you're getting back something which can be used. I mean, gold is physical and it can be used on mobile phones.
But saying
the problem
gold is physical is saying that
the problem is that the cryptocurrencies, they are making.
So is this more of an issue of physical versus digital for you?
Pretty much. Yeah, I think cryptocurrency is.
So you don't think you not think anything digital can have value?
No.
No.
That's a bizarre attitude to take to someone who's born basically with the internet in their left hand.
Well, it is valueless. I mean, it is.
So nothing digital can have any tangible value, can have no value?
Well, I mean, it depends if you're buying a... Well...
What about a game?
Bitcoin's not. I mean, you could say that the games and the games you play does have value because it's software. I mean, if you're talking about
digital.
Software,
that's digital.
Okay, then I take away. Yeah, in terms of that, I mean, I think yeah, but cryptocurrency, no.
So why do people spend 10 quid a month for a Spotify account when all they're getting is ones and zeros? Why do they not go out and buy a CD?
Because they hear music. And it's considerably cheaper than having a whole album supply in your bedroom. And also there's greater supply around. I mean, you're actually paying for some access. You're paying.
But you don't actually have anything. You don't have anything physical.
You're renting a service. It's the same.
You don't have anything physical.
You have nothing physical. If Netflix
no
goes belly up tomorrow or you stop paying, you've got nothing. Someone who buys a Blu-ray or buys a vinyl record, a CD, that's a physical product. So by your definition, Spotify shouldn't have a business model, nor should Netflix. Only the record labels should have.
But they're making money, and well, they're making money because people are buying subscriptions.
People in Bitcoin are making money as well, though. This is the thing. But that's like that. I mean, that kind of argues like radio advertisements. You know, selling radio advertisements doesn't have any value because it's not tangible. But a physical advertisement in a newspaper does. It does. Something doesn't have to be physically in your hand to have value. It's whatever, it's a medium. Something has value if someone wants it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
It does. As they say,
trademarks. Joseph just posted trademarks of value, patents of value, all intellectual property. That's a very good point, Joseph.
Yeah, but that's been for use. I mean, they have use. That has a use.
How does it have a use?
Commercial use.
How does it have a use?
What, patents?
Right, so
every single time a piece of code or patented software code is used in a program,
but there's nothing physical.
You get royalty free from it.
But it's not physical. You're arguing it.
Yeah. No, which, if it's about a huge crypto.
No, I went back on my original statement.
Right.
That the digital currencies anything digital doesn't have value. It does have value. But I'm just saying cryptocurrency online does not have value.
Well,
but you made money from that.
Can I just say, I've actually now bought 2 things with cryptocurrency, and I've actually sold something as well via a forum using cryptocurrency. So, the 2 companies that I bought those things from, you better ring them up and tell them that they've been scammed because they've sent me something for something that has no value.
But you're buying stuff which has value. I mean, you're buying a tangible product.
Yes, I am. But in exchange for that, I'm sending cryptocurrency, which is something you declare has no value. So ergo, that's how can I possibly exchange something that has no value for something that does have value?
But the thing is, you're trading something because people perceive that to have value. You're essentially replicating what a fiat currency has. Your argument is the same as what a fiat currency is. You're arguing that when you trade that fiat currency, that person perceives the value of that coin being £20, and £20 they can buy another thing with £20. You're essentially just describing a fiat currency.
No.
You are.
I'm afraid no. Look.
Your argument is the same as a fiat currency.
No, it's not. We started off the discussion and based on your assertion that cryptocurrency is worthless. About 10 minutes ago, you said that you saw 3 years' time Bitcoin having a store of value like digital gold. You've also said it has no value, even though I've proven that it does have value. I appreciate
it doesn't have value. It doesn't have any. So, okay, tell me, right? If you could not exchange cryptocurrency with anything online, so if you could not trade it in a supermarket, if you could not trade it with anything else, if you could not exchange Bitcoin for another tangible thing, or a tangible asset, or tangible good, whatever you call it, does your Bitcoin have any value whatsoever?
If it can't be exchanged for anything at all, then of course it doesn't have value. But then
exactly, so it's a fiat currency where gold,
how is that a fiat
gold
currency?
which is physical, does have value.
It has value,
but how
because you can make things out of it. It's physical.
Yes, but you're saying gold has value. What if you have 1,000 tons of gold and no one wants to buy it? Does it have value? There's no one on the planet that wants gold. Does gold have value?
Gold is used much less in manufacturing than it's ever been. People can synthesize gold. Most of the gold jewelry and supposedly gold things you see on the planet are made of real gold.
But Hugh, I think Hugh's argument here is that with gold you can buy something with it as physical. But what if no one wants to buy gold?
I'm not even saying that. I mean, with gold you can make something out of it. I mean, for example, say you had all the assets.
Okay, but say you bought all the gold in the world. Are you going to, how is that valuable to you if are you going to build 1,000 different, 100,000 laptops? Like what would you use the
jewelry? You could make jewelry out of it. I mean,
I think the argument that something is a currency or a store of value because you can make something out of it is a bit flawed. You can make
jewelry. You can make jewelry with flowers.
Yeah, exactly. I could Blue Peter make quite nice things with empty washing up bottles, but it doesn't mean anyone's going to give you fuck all for those, does it?
But the idea that you need to sort of so what are you saying? So if for example, if you had a circulation cap of the currency we have now, that would replicate what we have in cryptocurrency. If we said you could not print any more money now, as there is, any more money currently be printed in the banks, that stopped, it would replicate what a cryptocurrency is today.
No.
How?
Because cryptocurrencies are mined. There's a proof of work. There's a consensus. There is a network. It's decentralized. That's a massive difference from a central bank printing or not printing a currency. Cryptocurrencies theoretically can be a global currency, can be exchanged across the world. You can't spend sterling or a euro everywhere. It has enormous advantages. I think the point you were making earlier on was basically you can make things out of gold. So what you're trying to suggest, therefore, is that only anything that's physical or tangible can have any worth. And I would say that's a flawed argument. Because people pay for lots and lots of things. They pay for Netflix, they pay for Spotify, they pay for mobile phone subscriptions. Those are not tangible assets. You can't make anything out of them.
Yeah, but it's government backed.
Well, wow. I'm on about Netflix and Spotify. How are they government backed?
What do you mean? Why people are paying for government Netflix and Spotify?
I'm on about why people pay for things that are not physical. Your assertion is that only gold. Your assertion
because they have value. I mean,
but we're back to value again.
No, because not value, but they're offering a service. The whole of Netflix, they're offering you a service to.
But what if I don't think that's a service?
What's Bitcoin offering you to trade another Bitcoin? What's Spotify offering you to listen to music?
But what if that doesn't have any value to me? Does that make it valueless?
Does that make it valueless?
Yeah.
Well,
what if I don't want to watch Netflix? What if I only want to watch Blu-rays? What if I don't want to listen to Spotify? I only want to listen to records?
Well, you're just one person out of millions who do want to listen to Netflix and Spotify.
Exactly. That's the whole point of why Bitcoin is popular and why cryptocurrency is popular.
But you're
It's
now
only
just saying
as good.
demand. But this
No,
goes back down to demand.
I'm not
Exactly,
about demand.
but it's also about who believes in the system.
For anything to have an exchange of value, there has to be, it has to have an agreed value. There has to be a belief in it, an acceptance that has a value. Your initial assertion was that gold has a value because it has to be mined and it is a tangible asset and you can make things out of it. Okay. So ergo, anything that doesn't have any physical form is not worth anything. And I think that's a flawed argument. There's lots of things which are physical, which you can make things out of. Don't necessarily have any value per se, do they? How much value do stones have? You could build a house out of stones. You won't find people paying you much money for stones. Gold is only the value of gold.
It's the supply, though, isn't it? I mean, the supply of gold is quite small.
Yes,
it's actually, but gold has been manipulated as well as far as the supply, I believe.
I'm going to hold my hands up. I'm not an expert in terms of physical, tangible gold, in terms of how that system works. But all I can stand by is that system has worked for decades and centuries.
But it's not been used.
Maybe if that system has been brought into the modern world, and maybe if that system is brought into that sort of area.
But it's not been used in the USA for 50 years. It's not been used in other countries for many years either.
But that's because many people adopted the fiat currencies, and the fiat currencies will admittedly die at some point. So whether that will change back.
Your argument is we just need to go back to gold, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Well,
but don't you realize why we moved on from gold in the first place? The reason we moved from gold to money prior to fiat currency was because of the problems over portability, over divisibility. You know, you can carry money, cash fiat money, or just cash money, forget fiat. You can carry cash around a hell of a lot easier than you can carry blocks of gold. If you're arguing we go back to gold, you're basically arguing we should just undo about 400 years of progress. And I don't really understand the argument.
There's the gold standard has been working for ages. You don't have to carry around a piece of gold.
We don't have the gold standard
digitally done.
What does a gold standard mean, though? Explain that.
It means there's something attached to what your transaction. So it means you're attaching a piece of value to another object. So a piece of paper has a value attached to it to be one gold ingot or one ounce of gold. That's what it was done. So that's what the gold standard was.
Yeah,
and people then moved to pieces of paper because the actual transaction of gold in itself was a hassle. Like you said, it was a hassle to transform gold over to another person because it was just a hassle. So then banks printed paper so when people went in, that piece of paper was one gold ingot or whatever. So people they printed off all this money. People were using these notes, so they just thought, let's just keep it as that.
How soon do you think they accepted paper notes instead of gold? Can I ask you that? I can tell you it took an awful long time.
But I'm not saying to go back to the days of when people were exchanging gold.
So you're arguing that we should just go back to cash.
Here's one thing I have a problem with that. As I said, there's a lot of documentaries saying that gold has been sold multiple times for each bar of gold has been sold to like 5 or 10 people. Yeah. What is there to stop something like that happening? If you tie a currency to gold or to anything else, what's stopping someone selling $1 or whatever it is, whatever the currency may be, what's stopping it being sold multiple times? And this is where proof of work comes in, where it's verifying what the hell is going on. You can't verify if the Bank of England or the Bank of America or whatever, you can't verify that they actually have the gold that you've bought from them, unless you're physically, as you said, get the gold, bury it in your backyard.
We're talking about price volatility. Can you imagine what would happen to the price volatility of gold if it transpired that a third of the people around the world that think they've got gold don't actually own gold?
Yeah, it'd be anarchy. But that's the thing, you know. This is one of the benefits of the proof of work mining system. Yeah. Is that you can verify exactly how many coins there are.
And Hugh, the thing with gold is it's great as a lots of precious things like diamonds and everything else, because it's not just gold. Actually, there are plenty of things. In fact, arguably, I would argue that the diamonds have more value than gold, because diamonds could be used as cutting equipment. Diamonds have got a lot more practical.
Yeah, I mean, diamonds could be the system as well. It really depends.
What about synthetic diamonds? What about synthetic
physical
diamonds?
Entity.
It is, but the point.
I'm just not convinced now. I'm not convinced that what you're saying is the future. Is the future. I mean, you're saying now that you're going to get.
Okay, what would be the future then?
A fiat currency with another fiat digital currency. A fiat digital. I mean, it's not tangible, and it's not like currency. We are wanting it to be some sort of.
No, it's not a fiat digital currency, because a fiat currency is a currency which has no inherent value because it's purely printed, backed by a bank, by a government, which can fall down.
But the value of cryptocurrency is purely backed by the demand that value will be the demand today or tomorrow. I mean, it could not be.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm sorry, but you're fundamentally misunderstanding the value in cryptocurrency. It's a maximum supply, and that the proof of work aspect from mining. It's not fiat. The two things are completely different. Bitcoin specifically is decentralized. It can't be stopped. It's not issued by a government. It's issued by an algorithm. It can't be at the mercy of quantitative easing and overprinting. Bitcoin can't. They can't just suddenly ramp up and say, "Oh, we're just going to issue 5 times as many Bitcoins." And I accept the point that was made earlier on about other cryptocurrencies and saying, "Oh, hard forks and stuff." Yeah, fine. But those are creating additional cryptocurrencies. They're not Bitcoin. You can't duplicate Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin.
Yeah. I'm just changing around.
No problem.
Guy said, "What about BitConnect?" I mean, yeah. Well, obviously that was the unsung hero in cryptocurrency. We all weep the departure of that one.
Right. So it's been a good discussion so far, but I think I'm not saying we're going round in circles, but I think we're kind of
we are
dancing. Yeah, we're kind of dancing around a lot of different things. So do you both want to have like a kind of final statement and just give your view on why Bitcoin has value or why it doesn't have value, or why you think it has value or not? Who wants to go first?
I think I've said multiple times why I think it's got value, so I'm just beating a dead horse with this one.
Well, I will go for a counter argument. Is that in terms of Bitcoin, I mean, if we argue on cryptocurrency in general, but I'm going to isolate it into cryptocurrency as in Bitcoin, there is no replacement. I mean, in terms of you can't replace fiat. I mean, the problem cryptocurrency have got, and there is struggles, and I'm going to try to be as generous as I can be with cryptocurrencies. I think there's a lot of people in the crypto space who are wanting to make money and not purely use it as a means of transaction. You've got people. I mean, what I might see, but I think the idea, if I'm solely talking on Bitcoin, is that I don't think Bitcoin itself can replace fiat money and be a trading good as what it is today. And I think that is the distinction I would want to make now, is that I think Bitcoin, people see it as it's going to be both. I think it will either be one or the other. I think it'll either be a means of transaction or it'll be some sort of value held in it, in terms of it will be like 400 or 500 quid and people will be trading it on the markets to see the value of it, what it'll be, and it'll be sort of the demand driven pricing. What your argument here is it's a fair one, and my argument is is the idea of the actual asset in itself being digital, in terms of the idea that what's going to happen in the future is that. But I don't think what I'm trying to say is that the Bitcoin will probably have maybe 2 currencies featured. I think we might have one which will be one where it can be massively adopted into society in terms of a major transaction area, which will be kind of stable price-wise, but Bitcoin will be kind of the more investor type, where we be sharp spikes and sharp dips.
Bitcoin will be gold, and something else will be a currency, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
I think that. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I wouldn't disagree with anyone who would argue that Bitcoin may end up not being a currency but a store of value, but ultimately that has kind of, with respect, taken a bit of a pickaxe to your opening gambit, which was that you thought it was worthless.
But
you just said
the actual Bitcoin itself is worthless. In that sense, I want to get that across, that the actual Bitcoin in itself and what you're actually trading is worthless.
What if you put the Bitcoin code into a gold coin? Make a hardware wallet. Make a soft wallet.
I think saying Bitcoin is worthless because it's not a physical asset is, most things that people own well, not most things, a good number of things that people own are not actual physical assets. In fact, that's probably more the case now.
The deeds to your house.
Well, exactly.
It's just a piece of paper.
Let's put analogy to your Netflix, the argument of the Netflix we had earlier, that if you have a Netflix and you wanting to look at your Netflix, you need internet to gain to that Netflix. You need some form of internet connection to watch the service you're providing. So you want to watch Tomb Raider, I'm not sure, like a random movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
You don't have a computer and you don't have anything. That service to you is worthless because you can't access that. I mean, it's the same for cryptocurrency. If you do not have a ledger or anything like that, it's worthless. But in terms of if you had something which was physically backed, it would not be worthless because you could transact it. You could.
I think we are losing you a little bit.
Metal Mickey here.
Use gold without needing any of these exterior things.
Sorry, unfortunately, you started breaking up there, and I didn't.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit there, Hugh.
Yeah,
you seem better.
Hang on, I just changed my internet to my downstairs.
Oh, it connected between different Wi-Fi's. So
I think we have made a bit of progress with you here, Hugh, because you have conceded a future where Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies have some sort of value. Now, the assertion about Bitcoin not being used as a currency for various reasons, that could well actually that could well turn out to be true. But that's why there are other cryptocurrencies.
But the idea, right, is, I mean, what I think is you're replacing a fiat mechanism with another fiat mechanism.
No.
You are, because
the fiat
mechanism...
Because cryptocurrency and fiat are two completely different things. If you look at what a fiat currency is, fiat currencies and Bitcoin are two completely different things. You can't keep saying that it's just a fiat currency, because it's not. Bitcoin is issued by a mathematical algorithm. It's a finite supply. There's a proof of work. It's uncorruptible. Cash is issued by a government. It's bits of paper. A government could fall. It could suffer hyperinflation. It could suffer quantitative easing. Cash could be forged. You can't forge a Bitcoin. If I've got a Bitcoin and I send it to Kevin, Kevin now has one Bitcoin and I have nothing. People can counterfeit money and have done and still do. Cash money. So I don't think it's fair to easily hack.
I mean, I don't know what the future of currencies are gonna be in terms of that idea of forgery, and I think that's exactly why blockchain has become so great. I think that's why people have become very interested in blockchain. The big blockchain, as you just said, blockchain gives you that authorization that it's a successful trade, and that's the technology I think banks are after. but I'm not saying they are wanting I think what probably will happen. I'm not even sure if you could even say it as a currency, because it may be, but I think, like you said, there will probably be some form of blockchain backed pound or something, but they won't have the
So it'd be a centralized cryptocurrency.
Central crypto. Yeah,
that would be fiat. That would be fiat. A government-backed cryptocurrency issued by the Bank of England or the Fed or the European Central
but
Bank.
it could be a limited supply.
A fiat currency.
I don't think they would use a limited supply. Or if they did, it would be a very high.
Well, it would be an
supply,
unusual choice if they did make it a finite supply. But can you see any government seriously issuing a currency where the supply is finite? No, because they would maybe do a wriggle room that they've currently got.
The only one I would do. They would maybe do it with some sort of equivalent for bonds. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe some sort of investment thing. You know, you've got the bonds that they do, where it's like a fixed rate. They would maybe do some sort of finite supply for that, but not for, like, you know, the pound or whatever. But maybe for some sort of investment thing in the future. Like, this is way in the 15, 20 years down the line. But maybe they would offer something that was limited. There would only be 10,000 coins ever designed, and you can invest in it. That kind of thing. Yeah,
but I mean, apart from whether cryptocurrency will be adopted as a currency or not, I mean, I think that's still up to discussion. I do think my views, I mean, they do change quite considerably as I've seen you and I read new articles, and I do got to admit they do change. And I think sometimes maybe it can change. I mean, fiat current. I mean, the parallels between are quite similar, and I think the cryptocurrency is trying to, in a way, replicate the gold standard, in that the mining aspect of it gives that kind of limited supply, and you can only mine a certain amount in that area. But what I really kind of want to say now is that if you're in cryptocurrency as an investment purpose and you actually wanted to make money out of it, I just don't think you're in a worthwhile area at the moment. I just do not think you will make money. Well, you might make money.
That's quite a different argument, isn't it? I mean, and in fairness, in the short term, you could well be absolutely spot on. I mean, frankly, right now, I'm personally quite bearish about Bitcoin in the short term. I actually would be surprised if it doesn't drop below where it is now, maybe to $3,000, could be to 2.5. I don't think it's going to go to some of the ridiculous levels people are claiming of, 500 or whatever, but I think it is going to drop. But in the long run, it will accumulate in value. But the argument about whether it's a good space in which to make money is not quite the same as the argument saying that it is worthless, and that it's basically the same as fiat.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my 2.5
closing statement. Well,
I think a lot of people are wanting to head off now. I've just looked at the chat.
No, it has been a long stream, guys.
Yeah.
I do appreciate both of you coming on. Thanks to Norliss and Hugh. I do appreciate it, guys. It's been the best part of 2 hours.
Problem.
It's a long time to be chatting.
Yeah, I did. 11.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was that late either.
No wonder there's only one person watching. There's more of us in the stream than there are people watching.
No, I think there's still 16, 17, I think.
16,
It says 17.
No, I do appreciate it. And fair play to you, Hugh. I mean, you come on here knowing that me and Norliss have a different point of view. So I do appreciate you coming on. I realise it's not.
I think we covered a lot of topics, and I think we maybe mixed. I don't know.
We kind of danced around tax evasion and digital products and a few other things.
Yeah.
It's kind of. I think it's hard to discuss these kind of things without talking about other subjects sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they feed into each other, don't they? And the other thing I have to just say, I think there is a kind of an irony in 240+ blokes having a debate in which they're extolling the virtues of cryptocurrency with a guy who's 21 or whatever he is. Is it 21 you said, right?
Yeah.
The return to the gold standard. I think it's just almost like you may be 21, but you've come from 1821.
Benjamin Button. No, it's quite funny.
But be mad on crypto and you're 81.
But what I think we need to, I do agree with you guys, but I'm not 100% sure that. I think
I think I can agree that there needs to be a change in what the system is currently, and I think you're right. I think if you come and you bash the government for the fiat currencies and all those sort of areas, I think you're right. I honestly believe that you're right. I think there needs to be something changed, and I think in the next 10 to 20 years, I think there will be some significant changes in the way we operate as a currency. Is cryptocurrency the thing which will be? I mean, that's still really up to debate, and I mean, that's what a lot of people are hoping, they're hedging their bets on when they're investing in cryptocurrency. Is a lot of people hope that it's going to have some government backing behind it, so then their government is going to have some sort of value behind it. But at the minute, it's really up to speculation. I really don't know what's going on. I honestly do think there needs to be some sort of, and I think this is what's happening now. I think people, at least Bitcoin is, and all those that have made that argument, and people are starting to think about different options other than the failing tactics what people are having now with a fiat currency. So,
well, I've got no doubt there's a lot of people who have got, you know, a similar opinion to you just now, especially with Bitcoin dropping. A lot of people will say that the bubble was burst and, you know, it was all a scam and all that.
A lot
Sorry,
of people
Norliss?
thought the internet and the big tech companies of the 90s was all a big scam, and we all know what's happened there.
Yeah.
I wish I was able to load, you know, never mind Bitcoin. If I could walk back to 1998 now and fill my boots with Amazon at $18 a pop, I wouldn't even be having this conversation. I'd be on a yacht with about 5 amazing women and massive bags of cocaine. That's what
the thing I'm mostly worried about is that governments hate when they have a lack of control over things.
Yeah.
And the tendency of governments is to generally ban things they don't have control over.
I would agree. Oh, you're definitely right there. You're definitely right there.
And I think that's probably one of the reasons they're scared of the crypto industry. And I'm going to utterly say it now. I think at least the crypto industry are taking the power away from governments, because I personally do not like governments having so much power in what they have now. I think market trends seem to be kind of the way gives power back to the people. The systems of cryptocurrencies and all that sort of stuff.
Don't you agree that there's value in that?
And I mean, it doesn't have any. It does have. Well, I guess that does have some sentimental value in a freedom. If that's a value you can put a price tag on, but you can. But there are. I think there's quite different arguments in terms of. I think people are on Bitcoin who are wanting to speculative buyers. I think a lot of speculative buyers in cryptocurrency industry who are wanting, and I think a lot of mass people, especially Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the epitome of the average Joe joining in to something they think they could make money from. And I think the biggest fear I have,
there's certainly an element of that. There's always going to be people who, you know, they see that people are making money and want to join the party.
The fear of missing out, and as Bitcoin is kind of, if we isolate Bitcoin, doesn't have any sort of attachment to anything like gold, or as you said, other currencies do have that sort of attachment to other stuff. I just fear that it's actually ruining the reputation of cryptocurrency, because I feel cryptocurrency has that sort of. Bitcoin has sort of been that first thing in that space where they've grown to sort of dabble their fingers in. The general populace have dabbled their fingers into cryptocurrencies, and they maybe bought it for. I mean, sure, if you got in early enough, you made a huge profit. But I think a lot of people went into cryptocurrencies with, would I say, the wrong reasons. I would say, if people wanted cryptocurrency to be a different mechanism of transaction currency, I think that would be a different argument altogether. But I think the motives of the majority of people who entered cryptocurrency. I mean, if you think,
but I think it's important to remember we're still in a kind of speculative phase where it's
Yeah,
still it's an early
I mean,
part of the journey, if you look at it that way.
I mean that's the problem. I mean, this is why I'm always that's I haven't said to you before that I think this is maybe a good thing, because what it's done is it's kind of left the people now who actually want to make cryptocurrency the next big thing to just earn the money and just develop their technologies in the back before it gets adopted.
But I think if you look back over the last 10 years, there's been many occasions when Bitcoin has, shot up and then dropped and crashed.
You can see the charts all over the internet, $2 to up to $30, down to $2. Excuse me. Everyone says it's done.
But granted, that's a much smaller exchange than what it was.
Yeah, but the principle is the same, really, if you think about it, shooting up in value and all that. And we could be having this same discussion in 2 years' time when it shoots from 6,000 up to 40,000 and then back down to 10,000. People say it's a scam.
I bet that'll happen as well. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it'll go tear assing up to something like $80,000.
I mean,
exactly the same thing as we've had recently, and then it'll go bombing down to like 12, and 12 will be the disaster zone, and then people will be crying.
But I mean,
go down lower than that.
But I mean, say Bitcoin was adopted to fasting. I mean, if you have something like that, that's effectively the boom and bust economy we have now.
I personally believe that when more people get involved in crypto, the volatility, it should in theory be less volatile in general.
I think,
but time will tell. I mean, that's a different argument, I think.
Yeah, I think it is a digital gold, and I think that very possibly other cryptocurrencies will actually perform as a cryptocurrency, and maybe in time, in the passage of time, we'll actually look back and think, oh, it's quite funny that we used to think of Bitcoin as a currency when it is actually more like gold. Yeah,
could be. But I think we should tie up there, guys. It's nearly been 2 hours. So thanks, Norliss. Thanks, Hugh. I do appreciate it, guys. I do like this format. I hope you've enjoyed it. There's a lot of things we could discuss in the future, and we can maybe get some more people on. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. I apologise we've not been able to reply to the comments, but as you can see...
Fierce debate.
Yeah, as you can see,
reading them, by the way, for people to be writing. I've been ignoring them. It's just, it's quite difficult to.
Yeah, it's hard. I find this myself. Even one-on-one, it's hard to reply to comments if you're talking to someone. Never mind 3 people. But I do appreciate you both taking the time to come on here, and thanks again, Hugh. I know you've got a different opinion from me and Norliss on this, so it was good to hear your side on it, even though we disagree on that kind of side.
I take it I take it we'll be remunerated with our services in some form of cryptocurrency, Kev.
Yeah, 2 Bitcoin, is that enough?
Word has it, you've got a shared load of SafeCoin, and I've got this Alcor wallet, so you're more than welcome to chuck a few at me.
Right, okay, I'll do my best.
Well, give me
thanks for putting me on the spot.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Right, guys, thanks a lot. We're going to end the stream here, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for taking part, guys, and I'll stop streaming now. Cheers, guys.
Superb.
Cheers.
Bye.